Hi there. Welcome to the Aligned Living Podcast. I'm your host, Kathleen Booyse, and I'm super excited to have you join us. In these episodes, we're going to have some heart-to-heart conversations with experts, everyday wellness enthusiasts, and, well, anyone with a story to share about their journey towards a more balanced and harmonious life. Welcome to the Aligned Living Podcast, where well-being meets wisdom, and the journey is just as important as the destination. Let's dive in. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Aligned Living Podcast. I'm your host, Kathleen, and it is super great to be back for another episode. Thank you to everyone who has listened to the previous episodes and gotten such amazing feedback. As always, in all the show notes, you can contact the guests and get in touch, or if you have any questions, all the links will be there. Today is a super exciting and super special episode with a friend who feels like we've probably been friends forever, but we've actually only just met quite recently. And it's been a beautiful unfolding that has now led to Michael being a guest here for episode 16. So yeah, without me chatting away too much, Michael, thank you so much for being here. It's really an honor, and I have so much respect for all the work that you're doing. We had a great conversation a couple of weeks ago, I think already, when I had a consultation with Michael starting my Iboga microdosing journey, which is something we'll get into in the conversation as well. But I think just to kick us off, if you'd like to just introduce yourself, a little bit about where you're from, your upbringing, anything that kind of comes to mind of who Michael is.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Michael. I'm here in Cape Town, South Africa. I've spent most of my life in South Africa, but I've also lived in other countries. Like I've lived in Thailand, East Africa, I've lived in Peru, I've lived in Spain, France. And I think just kind of being between Africa and here and also kind of traveling the world has kind of like, I guess, shaped a lot of who I am, what I'm about. And yeah, so kind of through my traveling, I kind of got into quite a lot of like alternative things like raw food eating, yoga, breath work, plant medicines. It's just kind of, at least when you travel, you explore and you meet new people and all that kind of stuff. And when you're in very different environments, it influences who you are quite a lot. So, I guess it's a bit about, guess what I've been doing with my life. I also write software for a living, but I've also kind of got quite a philosophical kind of outlook on life. So I'm following quite like a spiritual path and stuff like that. So I've just been, exploring plant medicines for like over 10 years, over a decade, as part of, just following my curiosity. And try to understand who I am, why I'm alive, and sort of like what's going on here. And
All the small questions in life.
yeah, exactly. So it's kind of like, what eventually made me end up getting into Iboga is kind of following a certain trajectory in my life and just all the influences and stuff I've encountered in my life. And so it's just been quite an interesting journey. And I guess it's taught me a lot, especially like the plant medicine exploration. It's sort of like, it feels like opening a portal of some kind into like a different reality. And and then I just kind of got into exploring that reality for quite a long time. And it's been finding quite interesting. And then my Iboga project is for that. I kind of feel like it's had such a big impact on me that it's like it's something you naturally want to share with other people because it's had such a big impact on your own life. And it's just something I'm quite passionate about, is exploring tools to kind of raise consciousness and heal ourselves on the physical, mental, psychological, and like spiritual levels, and how we can align with life and be more self-empowered and live a more free life, more abundant, and sort of like so it's kind of exploring kind of yeah, just what it means to kind of be alive and live a good life, and sort of like also trying to understand why most of humanity isn't doing that. It's also quite an interesting question for me.
Again, such a small question.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you. Yeah, sure. I mean, I feel like what you just said is like, you're the reason why I'm doing this. I was saying to Michael just before this, the podcast really started from Instagram live conversations that I was having during lockdown to introduce people to people, where I was finding practitioners and facilitators who were teaching me so many things, and discovering more plant medicines and tools, the yoga, the breath work, all of those things that I teach and that I practice and that I share, because it is like this sharing from a lived experience and going like experientially, like this works, and being able to share that with others, which is just like, I resonate with that so much. And you really are doing that. I know, like you said, you work in software as well, and I know you got a few projects going there, also bringing that, I love that, like bringing software and spirituality together, where we can reach so many people now. So I love that. And I would love to also hear a little more, because I know that, plant medicine really seems to be one of your expertise through your lived experience. I'd love for you to perhaps share a few, or maybe let's begin at the beginning. Where did the plant medicine journey start? How did that unfold?
I think everyone starts with smoking a joint.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing.
And then yeah,
And where
yeah,
did the
yeah.
joint take you?
So I mean, I think they do call it the gateway drug for a reason, because it just kind of like opens you up in some way. You're like, oh, this is interesting. And then this kind of makes you curious, like what else is there? And then,
Mm.
then the next thing comes along, like mushrooms and LSD. And yeah, I guess I kind of explored that a little bit, and but not that much. It's sort of like it's just kind of, yeah, I was just a little curious. I did like maybe a couple of mushroom journeys, maybe a couple of LSD journeys, and then yeah, then I just kind of, the LSD was like too synthetic for me, and then the mushrooms, I had a few good experiences, also a few bad experiences, and it felt kind of alien for me, the whole experience of the mushrooms. And then I kind of heard about San Pedro, and I was taken on the San Pedro journey by some people that I met here in Cape Town. They'd written a book called Buddha Brats, and they were like this group of enlightened rebels, and they were kind of into plant medicines. And yeah, so they took me on a journey with San Pedro, and then I just kind of resonated with that a lot more than the other things that I've been exploring, and then became friends with them, and that took me quite often. And that kind of opened up a whole new world, because you can also grow it yourself. So I ended up going to get a whole garden, and then basically, yeah, then you have a garden, you have to use it, and then it kind of like, it's like a,
Harvesting San Pedro.
yeah, it's like I'm growing it for a reason now. So yeah, and then when you make it, it takes so long to make, so you may as well make a few doses at a time. So it's kind of like this whole story that kind of just unfolds by itself. And then I kind of got quite into that, and then that was like the first, I guess, plant medicine that I kind of really got into. And it's actually much more gentle than to ayahuasca, Iboga, even. San Pedro is almost like something that you can go do with other people, and you can go walk around in nature and all that kind of stuff. So it's almost like it's quite fun. So, and then it's also, you go on these like amazing nature experiences with the San Pedro, and then it's sort of like you just get these like deep downloads, it's deep spiritual healing, and you get taught all these things about life. Also, thing I like about San Pedro is it kind of feels like it's from planet Earth, compared to mushrooms, which feel like they're from outer space, and LSD kind of feels kind of synthetic. So
Yeah.
that's kind of why I kind of went to the whole thing. And then also like it kind of felt like it was healing me on yeah, how would I say, healing me on the physical level as well. So then that's sort of like, so I just started working quite a lot with that, and kind of, I think I probably did probably over 50 journeys with that. Just because I don't really drink alcohol or anything else. So it's like when people go, let's say, go get wasted on the weekend, what most people do. It's like I don't do that. So I've also got into I mean, it's raw food, which kind of just align me more with just kind of doing stuff closer to nature. So then I stopped drinking when I was like 19. So then when everyone else is kind of normally drinking, I was kind of then getting into plant medicines. And then I would just kind of go hiking a lot up the mountain. And on the weekends, my friend got me into doing that. And then that just kind of, I guess, yeah, just got me quite deep onto this path. And then, yeah, and then I heard about ayahuasca. And then I met healers from Peru who, yeah, here in South Africa. And then that inspired me to go to Peru. I go learn about ayahuasca in Peru, and I did that like over 2 years. And I had a maestro, and I went to the jungle and did all that kind of stuff. And then that kind of got me in touch with the fact that there is actually people on this planet who take plant medicine seriously. like in like in like in our society, the government like outlaws them, calls them bad. And it's like they're seen as like these sort of like drugs. But
Yeah.
then in like other cultures, it's like actually, this is the heart of the culture. It's like you got the medicine healers which have been training for 10, 15 years, or they've spent 8 years in the jungle in solitary confinement to kind of learn about these plants because that's how kind of revered they are. And this is like the people who work with these plant medicine actually the center of the village. And they actually are there. It was like they're responsible for keeping the whole village healthy. And like spiritually they have like a very pivotal and important role, and it's taken quite seriously, and people are very dedicated and focused to actually, it's like becoming a surgeon in our society is working with plant medicines in the Peruvian culture. It's like when I saw they have to train 10, 15 years to actually become a maestro. I was like, wow, it's like being a surgeon in our society to kind of have that depth. And when they work with people, you realize these people are like surgeons. Like I walked around with one healer in the jungle. He'd be like, that plant does that, that plant does that, that plant does that. So all like every plant in the jungle heals. And he's downloaded that information about how these plants work from the jungle through working with plant medicines.
Mm.
So it's like the plant medicines give you like a direct access to like knowledge about nature and life and all this kind of stuff. And then they know how this, like I see this like a type of technology. They know how this technology works, and then they basically is how to basically, like the one guy, he would diet a plant, he would eat the same plant every day for 3 months, and after 3 months he would drink ayahuasca, and the ayahuasca would tell him everything that plant does. It's just
Wow.
been dieting for 3 months. So it's like a whole like process that they know, and then that process of how these plants work has been passed down through lineages over thousands of years.
Mm.
So when you work with these plant medicines, you basically get initiated into a lineage.
Mm.
And like my master told me, you shouldn't do plant medicine without a lineage. So I think that's one big thing in our society which we're missing. There's a lot of people exploring, younger people exploring like plant medicines and psychedelics and stuff. But I've also heard a lot of things going wrong for like a lot of people with exploring these substances, because in our society there's no people who know how to work with these things, but it's almost like it's part of our natural heritage, I feel, to work with these substances. I feel that when before, let's say, the church really took over and influenced, like they say, European culture, we were more like a pagan culture. And back when we were a pagan culture, we actually worked with like mushrooms, all kinds of different things. Ergot, even the Essenes in the Bible, they actually work with different plant medicines and stuff. So it's like it's so natural because it's from nature, but then it's kind of been as part of our separation from nature and ourselves, also us separating from these substances. And then we've kind of replaced these substances with things like alcohol, And then instead of helping us connect to ourselves the way plant medicines do, the alcohol disconnects us from ourselves even more and numbs us to ourselves, which is something that kind of Graham Hancock goes a lot into in his work, is how alcohols replace these entheogens. And these entheogens, the word entheogen means spirit revealing. So it's almost like a direct connection with God or the divine. That's like this like transcendent experience that you get. And that transcendent experience basically connects you to yourself on like a deeper level, gives you like a deeper understanding of life than what you could get in any other way. So it's one thing to do spiritual practices and stuff. It's another thing to actually have like a transcendent experience.
Mm.
So it's sort of like, and this guy Ken Wilber, he goes a lot into that, the whole idea of basically the fastest way to progress spiritually is to have a spiritual practice, but to also have a transcendent experience. If you have a transcendent experience without a spiritual practice, it's basically you don't know how to integrate it. And then if you have this spiritual practice, then it's like the transcendent experiences activate you to like say like a new perspective on life. And then the spiritual practice basically helps you ground that into your like daily life. So yeah, I just kind of find it quite interesting to, I guess, explore these substances, but also then see that we're actually missing the framework for working with these things in our society. And just to see the impact on people who are working with these substances and actually what goes on, like people going to schizophrenia, all kinds of stuff, when they don't do it in the right way, they take it from the wrong person.
I would actually firstly, I love that perspective on what a spiritual practice is. That's really like such a refreshing point of view. And it really made me like what came up in my mind was like spiritual bypassing and the whole like live, laugh, light kind of wellness industry of, oh, but if I do my yoga and I do my meditation and I drink my green juice and I do my things, like that is me having a spiritual practice, which is actually just bypassing. And when the way you said it now, that your spiritual practices are there to, if I'm correct in understanding what you said, your spiritual practices are there to help root and ground the bigger experience that you've had, or the full connection that you've actually had. And that spiritual practice is almost like a something that weaves it together into the human experience.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically the way I do it in my life, because I feel like if you're going to do the transcendent experience, you need some practice to help like embody it and ground it and stuff like that. And then you also need something. Even if you do a spiritual practice for many years, you can get very like stuck in a certain way, and your ego can still be there. And it's sort of like I've watched people who've been like I said Kundalini yogis for like 40 years, and they still got the same issues. And I just know if they took like something like Iboga or something, it would just kind of blast them wide open, and like the ego wouldn't survive.
I do want to, before we move on too much, I do also want to ask, and because you'll have insight into this, with the, as you were saying, like a lot of people are dabbling and trying out, whether it's mushrooms or some LSD. And I mean, we know things like Africa Burn or trance parties, like those are huge scenes where like hundreds of people come together, and most people, I would say, don't understand how the substances work that they're even taking. They don't know where it's coming from. They don't know who they're buying it from. They also then are consuming it with alcohol at the same time.
No, exactly.
I mean, guilty sitting right here. But I would love for you to maybe share a little
You're
more
gonna have to give
insight
yourself away.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like everyone really knows me. Like, shame, my poor parents know everything that I've done in my life. So it's not even like, oh shit, my mom's gonna hear this. And I would love to hear your perspective on like, why is, obviously, physically it's dangerous, but maybe a little bit as to why is it dangerous when you are taking spirits, taking alcohol, when you're also using or taking mushrooms or psychedelics?
Yeah, I think the one thing is that everything's energy. So basically, if you take certain things the wrong way or even like something like mushrooms just on its own in the wrong setting, it opens you up a lot energetically. So things that it's almost like you've got like this auric kind of protection around you normally. And then you take a plant medicine substance, that's why in the ayahuasca ceremonies, they sing Icaros and Arcanas, which are basically the Arcanas like a protection spell, and the Icaros there to help you travel. So they actually create the protection so that negative energies and spirits and all kinds of stuff can't get into like the space. And now you're gonna go take it in like a trance body or something like that, and there's no protection. And you're opening up yourself like totally energetically. And people just taking it and then actually realize that you need to actually protect yourself energetically when you open yourself up that much. And then the other thing is because like like bad music can just get into your energy, or other people drinking around you and they start fighting, and just kind of like can affect you on a much deeper level because you're so open energetically. Because those experiences that you have are designed to open you up energetically, because in order to heal fully, to go into like this very open, exposed, deep, and vulnerable space. And you don't necessarily want to open yourself up that much in the wrong environment. So that's probably like one of the biggest mistakes that people make, is they just go take it at a party, but they don't actually realize that this medicine is going to open them up quite a lot, and then aren't necessarily and they can't be protected in an environment like that. And then the other thing is also substances amplify each other, and they can also affect basically the different systems in the body. So like if you're going to take two substances together, it might make your heart start beating fast, or feel kinds of things that would kind of overwhelm you, or kind of open up dimensions of reality that you're not really like prepared for. So because also when you take the substance together, they amplify each other, but they can also amplify each other in the wrong way. So you don't actually know how substances actually interact properly. So if you're going to stress, I think something like alcohol doesn't ever interact in a good way with any plant medicine, from my perspective. And then you also don't want to take something like, from my perspective, you don't want to take something like Iboga, but then mushrooms. Iboga is such a strong plant, but then it creates a lot of protection for itself because you're going into such a deep and strong experience. You don't necessarily want to open yourself up the way mushrooms open you up. And I think also because mushrooms are like a mycelium network, so they're designed to be opened up. So if you take them, you're opening up like a mycelium network. So it's like, even like, so if you're in like the middle of the city or something, you don't really want to be that open and exposed to all the energies of the environment. As like a mycelium network, you want to go do it in the forest or something where you are totally protected. So for me, the safest place for me to do plant medicine is in nature somewhere where I know there won't be any people. And like I go like going up Table Mountain quite a lot because the whole Table Mountain feels like a temple. And it's like a very high energy frequency up there. And the medicine journey that I've done on top of Table Mountain, because the whole mountain's a giant crystal, it's been like 50% stronger just because I'm up there. And the energy of the mountain is so strong that it amplifies the experience so much. So if you know how this stuff works, you can also utilize it and do it in the right way. So that going to the mountain and having the experience amplified, because you know the energetics of how this energy of the mountains basically impacting the plant medicine experience. And then also doing like practices to kind of protect yourself, call in like the spirit guides and things like that. It's like all kinds of things you can do to basically create a more positive experience if you understand what you're doing and you're doing it consciously. Because I think the biggest thing that people do is that it's like, I mean, like I hurt myself really badly once with plant medicines. And the big lesson I got from that is that these are very powerful substances. And you need to, it's basically like plant medicine is almost like when you take it, it's like you're experiencing God, like you're experiencing the divine. And then it's like, and it's a very powerful experience. So kind of when you enter into that experience, it's like you want to do it with like enough respect, I think. And you don't want to use it. Like actually my maestro who I was training with in Peru, he had the saying that he used to like tell me, Michael, your body is a temple of God, not an amusement park.
Take a breather and explore the Aligned Living on-demand video library, along with our exclusive membership perks. Plus, our YouTube channel is already up and running, offering even more wellness content. Your path to holistic living is just one click away. Visit our website to learn more. And now, let's return to our inspiring discussion.
And I think most people in our society, that when they're taking plant medicines, it's more of like let's go to the amusement park.
Yeah, let's see where this takes us.
Yeah, I want to go on a trip.
Well, so many people like I want to get out of here. You know, it's like unable to be here, and I love that you use the word respect with using plant medicines, because it just makes me feel like, oh, so if someone is prepared to just go like, oh, I'm just going to go and like eat 3 grams of mushrooms or whatever the case is. I've never done my research. I don't know what the plant does. I don't know where it's from. I don't know how it works, but everyone has told me like, I need to do this. And then I'm like, so if you were prescribed medication from a doctor to take because of something, in the same like breath, like people don't question that either. It's like the doctor prescribed me this, like these are the pills that I'm going to take. I've got no idea what's in them. I've got no idea what the side effects are. There's the little pamphlet in every single box that I don't think anyone ever reads. And this very like a low state of awareness of what you're doing and why you're doing it. And I mean, I feel like I've also had a few like heavy experiences where it was almost like a little bit of like, okay, sit your ass down, girl. Like, you know, you're using this as an amusement park, and that's just, it doesn't fly with the medicines.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And yeah, I mean, I've had quite a lot of hairy experiences myself, but I've been into it for so long that I kind of guess I learned like how to navigate. So I kind of felt like I was being like a pioneer because nobody else can really tell you how this stuff works. Then again, I feel like we should be meant to be using this stuff. So even though I've had some of bad experiences, I still like, well, let me carry on and see. Yeah, if I can learn from my mistakes and actually understand. And then I've also had like been friends with the whole network of healers for many years, and they all work with these plant medicines. So we've kind of been over the years, kind of all been working with people and sharing our knowledge and experiences, and sort of like, so it's almost like, yeah, I've been finding that quite useful, is actually having a whole bunch of people in my circles interested in working with these plant medicines. And then, and on a professional level, like quite a few of my friends are like professional, work professionally with plant medicine with people. And so for many years, so that's sort of like, I guess, it's quite useful when you are, I guess, guiding people with this. That's also why I've created with my Iboga reset groups. I've created these groups, but it's not just me in there. I've added quite a few other healers in there who are part of my network. So if I don't know the answer, I'm just like stuck with my thumb because somebody else probably knows better than me. And like I haven't trained as a doctor or anything else in my life. I kind of see human beings as like a type of like biotechnology. And I've been into like, let's say, I've been quite interested in nutrition and how nutrition impacts the body. So I kind of feel like most of my health issues are actually based on our nutrition. And I kind of feel that there's a whole spiritual dimension to who we are. So we've got like this energy body, and we've got chakras and all that kind of stuff. And I feel like modern medicine doesn't deal with that. So and it seems like plant medicines work on the etheric and energetic level. So when I'm kind of healing myself on that level, my consciousness or even like memory, I kind of feel like we've all got a lot of trauma inside of ourselves that we don't necessarily know how to process and heal. and our modern medical system doesn't actually help us on that level as well. And yeah, unless you want to go to clinical psychology for like the rest of your life, you still probably want to get through all of it.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think there's a reason why people kick I think there's a reason why they say we can be incarnate, we keep coming back. Because
Yeah.
it takes us so long to process through everything that's inside of us that we have to keep coming back. So we can do it over many lifetimes. But then I feel like these plant medicines can help us on many different levels when it comes to healing ourselves, through healing our etheric and energy bodies, helping us process memory, and even detoxing the body physically. So, um, yeah, I've seen plant medicines detox people of all kinds of substances. Like I watched one guy puke like 17 hours straight once from cortisone, taking cortisone for 2 years. I've never seen somebody puke that much in my life, but at the same time, I was totally fascinated to see how the intelligence of the plant can just like work with the body to just kind of detox all of its systems. So it kind of feels like, yeah, plant medicines, from my perspective, probably heal most of the issues we have on a physical, like on all the different levels. If it's possible to heal it, I think if you take plant medicines, I mean, if you go like to chop off your finger or your teeth, there's certain things you probably can't heal, but then there's actually a lot of things you can heal. And I would say probably most issues that human beings have, we probably can heal, but then it's like, but because of people's lifestyle and it's not doing any like exercise, all kinds of different factors, and being such a polluted environment, it's actually quite hard for people maybe to heal themselves when they got like all these different issues. But then some taking a plant medicine that kind of feels like it supports your body's natural ability to heal and repair itself. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what I find quite interesting. It's like, so I think the body's always trying to heal itself, but then how can we support the body to heal itself better? And I think plant
Mm.
medicine for me are like a big key in supporting the body to heal itself better. And for me, like Iboga, all the ones I've explored, Iboga seems to be the most intelligent when it comes
Mm.
to assisting the body in its like self-repair process. Because I've tried quite a few other ones quite extensively, plant medicines, like some Pedro probably over 50 times, ayahuasca over 100 times. But then afterwards, I kind of got led to Iboga, and then that's sort of like, yeah, it just seemed like the most sophisticated. Like it protects itself much more than any other plant medicine. You process a lot more information than any other plant medicine. Just like the speed you process at, it feels like lightning. Just like the speed you use, it feels like you turn into like a supercomputer with how you kind of process the memory inside of you. Because like basically, according to mainstream science, 97% of our DNA is junk DNA. But there's another guy who's a writer, so a researcher, his name is Richard Rudd, and he wrote a book called The Gene Keys, which is a book about our DNA and how our DNA operates. And he says that's what mainstream science regards as junk DNA. He doesn't think it's junk DNA. He thinks it's actually our ancestral history. So like we're like these very advanced biocomputers, and we're storing a lot of history inside of our DNA, like our whole evolutionary history. So like a lot of our issues are actually stored deep in our DNA, but if I had to use computer terms, I would call it like archive memory. So it's like data you don't not going to use all the time. It's like maybe like when you're in fifth grade, all your files or something. You're probably not going to need them again, but in case you need them again, you need to be able to go and retrieve them, or your tax records or whatever you kind of want to, whichever analogy you want to use. So it's almost like a lot of our memory is from, yeah, like our parents and their parents and their parents. Like in the Bible, they talk about the sins of the father become the sins of the son. So it's almost like all the fears and traumas and everything are stored inside of our parents. When they conceive us, get kind of passed down into our genetics.
Mm.
And then there's like a lot of stuff to process. So for me, I feel like Iboga is the thing that I found that helps process that memory the fastest, because it's known as ancestral medicine.
Mm.
So it
Can you
helps
tell
you
us a little more about Iboga itself, the plants and where it originates from? I know your Iboga is ethically sourced. I'd love to hear a little bit more about about the actual plant?
Okay, yeah, so Iboga is Central West Africa, primarily Gabon, and it's like a rainforest shrub, small shrub-like plant, like a tree, and then it's got these little orange fruits, and the elephants actually eat those fruits, and actually the elephants are what spread the Iboga plant,
Wow.
which is quite interesting. And the story is, I mean, I'm sure there's probably different stories as to the origins of how they found Iboga, just like with ayahuasca. But like the one main one I've heard is that basically a couple were eating a porcupine, and they'd hunted in the forest in the jungle, and then they started getting visions, and then basically then they wanted to find the source of the vision, so they went to where they'd hunted the porcupine, and that's apparently how they found the Iboga plant. And then in West Africa, it's used for pretty much most things. Like they'll use it for healing most issues on a physical level, mental levels. They'll use it for like rites of passage and initiation. They'll use it. They'll like give it to like toddlers, ceremonial toddlers into ceremonies. They'll give it to dogs and cats. When couples are going to get divorced, they give Iboga to the couples like the last resort before they get divorced, because I've heard that there's not many times murders in that culture when people get divorced because they have to give the labola back.
Yo.
So then the whole village doesn't want them to get divorced, so then they try and give them some Iboga.
I would love to see the success rate of that.
Yeah, it would be quite interesting. It's almost like making part of our society. Before you get divorced, you have to do one Iboga journey.
That will be very interesting. Very, very interesting.
Yeah, so any couples with relationship issues can probably take some Iboga, and I'm sure they could help the process through things.
Just like take some Iboga. Iboga will show you the way.
Yeah, well, it's basically like it's like truth serum. When you take a Iboga journey, it just kind of shows you the truth like the whole time for like 12 to 18 hours. It's just like the truth of everything in your life that you kind of need to process.
Gosh, I feel like it might cause more divorces, actually. It'll probably, which might be a good thing, but yeah, sure.
Yeah, probably.
Um, I wanted to ask so I've obviously started on the money, I think it's called, the money.
Yeah, the money.
Yeah, the money strain. And then you've got two others.
Yeah.
But then also, I know that you have very specifically put together the capsules to be 500 milligram, I think you said.
Yeah, it's fun.
How much would you take if you did an Iboga flood? And what would you say why you landed on the 500 milligrams specifically? Sorry, so it's like two questions.
Me personally, how much I take for a flood, or in
Yeah,
general.
what would the normal if say like I'd been doing the microdosing for some time and I feel called that that's something that I'd like to do, what would the normal amount be, just out of interest, for an average amount?
Yeah, so it really differs based on your body weight and your gender and your age, and your history and your sensitivity. There's like all these different factors that affect how much Iboga you need. So like general thing to do is like when you do a journey, or even with microdosing, is about finding what works for you. Once you know it, so rather the first time you do a journey, take a bit less or take it in stages. We can maybe break it up into like 4 or 5 doses. So then you can find your tolerance level. And like, but for me, I know how much I can tolerate because I've done it so many times.
Mm.
So I would just take like 15 grams like that. And yeah, but I am
And you're
extracting it
still
now.
here with us, Michael?
Yeah.
I guess you're here more than ever, I guess, right?
Yeah, I just find it very interesting. um, yeah, it's sort of like no, it definitely feels it. It's a very grounding experience, and sort of like yeah, it's like very yeah, it's like a root plant. So it kind of makes you feel quite rooted in yourself once you've taken it, and it makes you feel quite, I guess, in your power in like a new way. And then it just kind of you've kind of just seen. I think the more we see the truth, the more empowered we are as human beings. And the more we believe in lies and illusions and things like that, then the more disempowered we are. And I think it's also to do with like our connection to ourselves. The more connected we are to ourselves, then yeah, I guess the better we can live. And the more you aren't connected to yourself, the more you're kind of doing wrong things, going in the wrong direction with your life, and using your power and energy in the wrong ways.
Mm. Mm.
So I kind of
Mm.
so Iboga is basically like the woman who got me into Iboga. She called Iboga the plant of self mastery.
Mm.
It's all like kind of learning how to master yourself through understanding yourself, processing like everything that's inside of you. I mean, even the Bible, Jesus said, if you bring forth what's within you will save you. And if you do not bring forth what's within you, what's within you will destroy you. So for
Oh.
me, like, so for me, Iboga is like the way to kind of bring forth what's within you, like the best tool I know of, and to be
Mm.
able to actually face it.
Mm.
But
Oh.
the microdosing does that on like a subtle level to help you process things. Yeah, it'll help bring some stuff up, it'll expand your awareness. And when stuff gets brought up, you'll feel it helps you process through things a bit faster. And you
Mm.
don't go into like the same, I guess, negative states for the same amount of time as what you would normally do.
Mm. I must say
So it's
that
just
I've been sorry to interrupt you.
no, go for it. No, go for it. No.
I've been doing the microdosing now for about, I think it's probably about 2 weeks.
Okay.
And I started at a half cup for the first few days. And then I was like, I feel like I've got capacity to take the full cup. So I started with that. And what I've found is, again, it's not like this, oh, I'm going to start taking this thing and it's going to fix my life. Like,
Yeah.
that's not how it works. Like, the medicine is not going to fix your life. Like, even like a therapist is not going to fix your life. Like, it all starts from within. And what I've found so far in the microdosing is that my memory seems better, like my head seems clearer. It's almost like there's like a fog that has been lifted, which has been so amazing for me to just feel more clear about things and to be able to see things. Like I've been going through some very intense things personally and professionally, and having to sit down and like write that difficult email or receive a difficult email, and being able to look at it with perspective and, like you say, not feel like you're being drawn into that like super low place, or to even to normal to get there. We all get there all the time. It's up and down in life, but to not stay there. So
Yeah,
for
yeah,
instance, this
exactly.
morning I was like, oh, I felt like super low vibration, just like heavy, just like almost stuck a little bit in my nervous system. Like I felt like I was a bit in freeze mode. Um, Beautiful day outside, and just not getting myself to able to shift and move. And this for me in my life's past experience could go on for like a couple days, like sometimes even a couple weeks. And I've just felt like, even though I've been going through those, still like those emotions and feelings, I've been able to like lift out of it and like
Yeah, sure.
move past it without,
Yeah.
again, without bypassing it or
Mm,
repressing it or anything, but just being able to move forward, which to me has been
mm.
like massive. I think that's like the biggest difference I've felt, is that I'm like able to pick myself back up again a little easier.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. It's supporting you to kind of help you process through things faster, and things that would normally hold you back don't have the same blocks and barriers in your life in the same way. Because like the plant's intelligence helps you process through it. It kind of gives your body more intelligence to process through things, and also more energy to process through things. It's a bit like a battery, but also plugs in as like intelligence into your body system. So on a microdosing level, it's very subtle, but it's still there. It's still quite deep, quite strong, but it's just on a very subtle level. So you can still do quite deep work just with microdosing. And so for me, it's like I think it's like invaluable as like a tool to support one in one's life, to be able to like just kind of I guess make life easier in a way. Sort of like it's just there to help you live life better.
Live life better. I'm gonna quote you on that. Just take your vote and live life better. Michael, I would literally talk to you the entire day. We're gonna wrap this up though, but I wanted to ask you, how would you describe living an aligned life, or living a life that is aligned?
Yeah, I think it's kind of about being like true to yourself and living in alignment with your heart and soul, which is kind of about living in alignment with like higher power and fulfilling your. I feel like we all got a purpose here to fulfill here on Earth, and I think that like the process of life. Actually, Iboga showed me one journey that the process of life is the process of evolution, and the process of evolution is the process of growing closer to one's own soul, which is growing closer to God. Because our connection to our own soul is our connection to God. And then it's about kind of living in alignment with that higher intelligence, and that would be your spirit, I would say. And then that's kind of what all spiritual practices are about, like kind of helping you align to live in alignment with the spirit. So then like plant medicines like Iboga also kind of help with that. And so basically like all instruments, I kind of see human beings like instruments, like the whole universe is sound and vibration. So it's like when we're living in alignment, it's like we're living in tune with ourselves, and then we're living in tune with life. It's kind of the way I look at it.
That's so beautiful. Oh my goodness. That's poetic, Michael. That's really, really beautiful. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing, and thank you so much for your time today. I know you've got the website with it's called Iboga Reset.
Yes, correct.
All the sorry?
Yes, correct. Ibogareset.net.
Ibogareset.net. I will put all the links in the show notes below for people to reach out. Please feel free to ask me any questions. If you guys have any of those watching or those listening, if you want to reach out to Michael, I will add in a link where you can actually set up a consultation to learn more about this amazing plant technology that you're bringing to the world. And just like a big heart thank you for all the work that you're doing, and for sharing your gifts, and for sharing your passions, and making the world a better place.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thanks for having me here. And the opportunity. It's really nice to share about it today. And really nice to connect. And
Amazing. Thank you so much, Michael. And thank you so much, everyone, for listening or watching. If you love this, leave a comment, subscribe, share. If there's anyone you know who might be interested in this, or perhaps someone you know who's never heard of it, send it along. I'd love for Michael's message and his teachings to reach as many people as possible. Just super grateful for everyone. Thanks again, Michael, and have a beautiful day, everyone. Lots of love.
Cheers, everyone. Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of the Aligned Living Podcast. We hope you found inspiration, insight, and a fresh perspective on your journey towards holistic well-being. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Remember, your feedback fuels our mission to bring you valuable content that aligns with your life. Stay connected with us on social media for updates, and feel free to reach out with your thoughts, questions, or suggestions for future episodes. We would love to hear from you. But until next time, take good care of yourself, embrace the present moment, And remember, you are your own healer. Thank you for being a part of our community. Goodbye for now.